COVID-19 Action Recovery and Economic Stimulus Program gets operational vehicles to ensure successful takeoff. Electricity customers now pay 78% tariffs, says NEC. Accountant General's Office says £4.2 million Ibori loot refund not yet resolved. And global stocks slightly lower as investors await U.S. labor market data. This is Business Express on the network service of the NTA, and we are reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Liakatun Babatunde. To ensure successful takeoff of the Nigeria COVID-19 Action Recovery and Economic Stimulus (NCAS) program at the subnational levels, the federal government has procured and formally presented 40 operational vehicles for use by state coordinators of the program. Minister of State, Budget and National Planning Clem Agba, who received the vehicles handed over by the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, explained that the program, which is multi-sectoral, is designed to provide immediate emergency relief to the vulnerable smallholder farmers as well as small and medium enterprises that were adversely affected by COVID-19.
As a result of the COVID-19, there was a need to respond and provide some stimulus to the economy. And specifically this time to the states, the vulnerable ones in the society. It's not a 20 million maximum that a state must get. It is dependent on the ability to perform. That is why we say it's performance for result. As they perform, they get money.
On behalf of His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari and the entire people of Nigeria, I appreciate the World Bank for this support to reduce the effects of COVID-19 pandemic on Nigerians. There's no doubt that this intervention will impact on the beneficiaries as well as contribute to the rebuilding of the economy and prosperity in Nigeria.
The program is financed from the World Bank, a $750 million loan. The Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, has received a pass mark by the Nigerian Extractive Industries Transparency Agency Initiative (NIT) for not just living up to expectation, but for also taking extra steps to make Nigeria's oil and gas sector an enviable one. Annie Daniels reports that this was when top management staff of NIT paid DPR a courtesy call in Lagos.
This is by publishing reports, sir, which DPR has been very cooperative. And those reports were asked the question, how much did companies pay to government? Royalties, taxes, all kinds of rates.
Director DPR, Sarki Awalu, spoke extensively on measures and steps initiated by DPR, especially in the area of hydrocarbon accounting, which has boosted investors' confidence and translated to foreign direct investments into the sector. Awalu added that since the incorporation of the National Oil and Gas Excellence Center, NOJEC, in Lagos, DPR has received $20 billion proposal.
The investment is coming from a lot of investors' house across the globe. They are really requesting for DPR to prove their capacity to really come and partner with companies that prove their competence and the data available for them so that they can really invest in the economy directly.
I'm proud as a Nigerian that I can stay in here in Lagos and monitor real time what is happening in the sector. I was taking around the whole of this process, and I think our position, our concern, that we do not know how much exactly we are producing have been substantially addressed.
With this collaboration, DPR and NAT are optimistic that Nigerians are in for a greater and transparent oil and gas sector. In Lagos, Annie Daniels.
And the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, assessed revenue to Nigeria's power sector has improved since the implementation of the service-based tariffs that started November 2020. The Commission also said that power users in bands A and B were now paying as much as 78% of their electricity bills to electricity distribution companies since the commencement of the SBT. Consumers in bands A and B are higher electricity users who get greater quantum of power daily than others in bands C, D, and E. Deputy General Manager, Market Competition and Rates of NEC, Abba Terap, at a virtual power dialogue in Abuja, said power distributors had, before the introduction and implementation of the SBT, complained that many customers were not paying for electricity, a development that had often made discos to remit about 30% revenue to the sector. The Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, OAGF, says the issue of the £4.2 million Ibori loot has not been properly resolved. The money is still being awaited, after which the issue around it will be resolved before further action is taken. For now, no money has been returned to Delta State. A statement by Henshaw Guike, Director Information, Press and Public Relations at the OAGF, explains that this explanation is without prejudice to the proceedings at the public hearing that took place Tuesday, during which the AGF was only making general comments about recoveries relating to state governments. The federal government announced last week that it has approved 4 international airports in Lagos, Kano, Abuja, and Port Harcourt as special economic zones. Minister of Aviation Hadi Sirika, who disclosed these, added that a new national carrier, Nigeria Air, is expected to start operation in the first quarter of 2022. It is this news that informs our discussion today on the program with Bello Ahmed Alkali, CEO of a Northeast Regional Shuttle. You're welcome to Business Express this morning.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So I will start by asking you, 4 airports were approved. What impact do you see this making to the economy of those states and Nigeria as a whole?
It's a very huge development, and we have to commend the federal government of Nigeria for taking this decision. When you look at economic zones, all it is trying to achieve is the economic development of those areas. The airport's economic zones are going to, billions of dollars probably of foreign direct investment will come because of this decision. Let's take, for example, even if it is the duty-free shops you have in the airports. There are companies like Procter & Gamble, and they can come in to say, okay, we want to produce all those things that are sold in the duty-free shop. That means there is employment opportunity. That means there will be a lot of economic activities going on. So it's a good development. It's a development that all over the world, governments are looking forward to such situations.
Okay, I'm also wanting to find out from you, what do you think informed the decision to select these particular airports?
Yeah, when you look at how the airports are positioned, Lagos is the economic hub of Nigeria, there is no doubt about that. Port Harcourt is the oil hub of Nigeria, there is no doubt about that. There are a lot of economic activities going on there. Abuja is the federal capital, there are lots of economic activities going on there because of government participation. And then you look at Kano. Kano has been over the years an economic sector, even time immemorial. So, it's a very good thinking of the federal government that these airports should be cited as economic zones.
Okay, there's also plans by the federal government to begin concession of those airports. So what impact do you think is going to make in terms of volume and value?
Yes, I will continue to say this is also a very good development because in other climes and in developing world, airports actually shouldn't be the business of the government. Yes, it's a security situation outfit, but when you look at it, it's more or less technical, it's more or less economic. So you will need to have some consortium that will come and handle your airports. If I understand rightly what the minister was trying to explain about the concession of these airports, they will first start with the what you call the halls, not as in the airports themselves. So we are talking about where the passengers are going to check in, where the passengers are coming in. So basically, the air side, the security aspect of the airport will still remain with the government. So it is a very good development because concessionaires are economic developers also. They will come, they will develop our airports, which hitherto were being developed by the government. Sometimes we have to give government the opportunity to say, hey, you have a lot in your cupboard. So is there any way we can help you? Well, an airport, yes, is a very good avenue to, of concession. So why not? We can do it like any other country, and I think it's a very good development.
Now, this is not the first time we are trying to concession the airports. If I remember correctly, the Lagos airport went on and then it dragged into some legal issues. Are there any lessons that were learned from the past that for you as a private sector feel that should not happen this time around?
Yeah, most definitely there has to be concerns, especially when it comes to legality. A lot of times these legal terms are not followed to the letter. But that does not mean we cannot learn from our mistakes. By the time you look at the incidents of Bicotini having an airport in Lagos, if they look at all the legal terms or the legal conditions that brought about all these challenges, at least now the government has understood, at least now the government can take care of business the way it should be taken care of.
Okay, we're also expecting a national carrier. Are you excited about that?
Most definitely. The priority of government anywhere in the world is social service to the people. So, I mean, Nigeria having a national carrier, first and foremost, is a social service to the electorate. Secondly, is an employment opportunity to our people. My only fear here is, okay, if the government is proactive, the government has the capacity, the government is interested in doing this business, how are we prepared, you and me? Are we actually prepared for that? Are we actually going to do what we are supposed to do? So many incidences have happened in the past. When you look at Nigeria Airways, how it came out to be the best airline in Africa, how it went up to the peak and then came down the ladder. Finally, today there is no Nigeria Airways. Of course, there are factors that contributed to this. If the government will look at these factors and then arrest the situation before the start of this national carrier, I can tell you it's something that is going to survive, and it's something that will be well articulated, it's something that will provide job opportunities, it's something that will provide economic enhancement to the nation.
Okay, I was going to ask you, coming from you, what you said about me and you, how we're going to receive it. We're hearing from some quarters, people are worried, will it be managed well? Will people still be getting the booklets of tickets like we had in the past during the times of the Nigerian Airways? And would there be rebates being offered? All these were the issues that came up and grounded the first national carrier. So what are those proactive steps you mentioned that you feel should be taken to ensure that there's strict compliance to lay down rules and regulations?
Yeah, like I said earlier on, is yes, I'm excited for us to have a national carrier. If you look at what is happening in the aviation industry today, we have a lot of bilateral air agreements that Nigeria is not actually participating. What am I meaning by participating? A lot of airlines are coming into Nigeria, but we do not have airlines from Nigeria going out to those places. Bilateral air agreement means England or Britain will bring in an aircraft to Nigeria. British Airways is coming here, so I should have a national carrier going to London. But I don't have a national carrier going to London. The airlines that are operating as at today is only one airline that is going to foreign countries. That is Air Peace. Yeah. It goes to Joburg, it goes to Dubai, it goes to Freetown, it goes to Ghana. That is the only airline operating. How many bilateral air agreements do we have? We have many that are unused. So whether we like it or not, we have to wake up and do the right thing. And this is the time for us to do the right thing, because we have seen a lot of situations that has to wake us up to do the right thing. For example, the COVID-19 pandemic is enough for us to wake up, to say, listen, we have to do this to ourselves. This is the right time for the federal government to come in. With the economic meltdown in COVID-19, the prices of aeroplanes have drastically dropped. This is the time Nigeria should buy aeroplanes and start a national carrier. Yes, there were issues with Nigeria Airways about the fact that airplanes are diverted because of VIPs of the government. Tickets are being issued out free. You see an aircraft going 70% capacity with rebated ticket, 10% full revenue, 10% revenue. So it's a very big problem. That's why I said, do we have what it takes as citizens to make sure this thing works? So we have to change our attitude. It's not going to be business as usual of the fact that, yes, this is a government entity. No, this is a business entity that must thrive. The only way it can thrive, there has to be a situation whereby the government probably may have to appoint a consortium, give it a free hand, let there be no interference whatsoever. Will be good.
Are you afraid of competition, those of you in the private sector, with the coming in of a national carrier?
The national carrier will not impact the local carriers, simply because I was there when Nigeria Airways was there, when I was operating as a local carrier. I have my passengers, they have their passengers. And believe it or not, there are some areas, some airports that is only a national carrier will go to. I have a problem right now because you wake up in the morning, look at areas like the northeastern zone of Nigeria. It's not fully covered by the aviation industry. Nobody will tell me it is covered. Today you are looking for a flight going to Maiduguri. Tomorrow you are looking for a flight going to Yola, Jalingo, Gombe, Bauchi. Some of these airlines have to be given some kind of a booster for them to come and operate. The national carrier will not request for that. It's a duty. It's a social service, like I said, to the country. So they will be very happy to get to these airports. I used to fly Bauchi, Yola, Gombe, Makodi. Today, you don't have that kind of a situation.
Okay, so before I let you go, the AFCFTA, how would these special economic zones at the airports, how would you relate the AFCFTA with it? Is it a good one for us?
Yeah, that is exactly what I meant by the bilateral air agreement. That system, the African Continental Trade Agreement that you're talking about, can only help the carriers if we will successfully fit into the bilateral air agreements that we have. With that, I mean, the taxes that will be reduced, there are a lot of advantages with that. We will definitely have a little pie out of the agreement. But without that, no, I don't think if it is going to be of any help. It could be on other trade aspects of the country, but with the aviation, we really have to be participating fully with the bilateral air agreements that are on ground that we are not servicing right now.
I must sincerely thank you, Mr. Bello Alkali, for being part of the program this morning.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Now, many hard-working Nigerians are still on the wheels of the economy against all odds, despite COVID-19 and all threats that came with it. Moplang Dakok met one of such Nigerians, a block industry owner who tells his story on surviving COVID-19 today.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
For 3 decades, block making has been his profession. But in the last 2 years, business has been very slow owing to COVID-19. Gabriel Nwachiku says the hike in the price of cement alone is taking a toll on not just production, but also on profit making.
Immediately we enter COVID-19, even during the COVID-19, we stopped production. Immediately after the lockdown, everything started increasing. To the extent right now, we are selling one block now, 200 naira, because the cost of material, the cost of production rise. Cement that we used to buy 2005 is now 4,000 naira.
As the pandemic led to cuts in jobs, The construction industry also got affected, and for Gabriel, laying off some of the laborers and workers was the only way to remain in business.
Before we used to have a plenty of workers, but some of the things, some of the work now we're doing it by ourselves. Because when we calculate the money of paying them and doing everything, at the end, because the cost of production is too high.
Those in the business are excited about the central bank's credit facility for micro, small and medium enterprises as well as households, but they say agents and middlemen are trying to play a fast one on them.
I have applied to an extent that I've even gone for the seminar. I've gotten a certificate, and they have been promising me network, no network. I am highly interested, and I will be happy if the government will help to give me the loan so that I will, we will take to assist our company.
The kind of money they say we should pay and the process is too much. And even some people that pay the money to process the loan up to now, they have not even seen loan and they did not see the money they put.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank.
The United Nations Food Agency says beef prices are rising worldwide, taking meat off the menu in steak-loving regions as Chinese imports rise and the cost of feeding cattle increases. Let's see prices of other commodities on the global market. And the equities market continued the losing streak for the third consecutive day on Wednesday, with investors losing 12.03 billion naira. The all-share index declined 0.06% to close there at 38,233.68 points, and equity capitalization at 19.9 trillion naira. 203.1 million shares valued at 1.8 billion naira were traded in 3,594 deals. Fidelity Bank, Zenith Bank, and Mutual Benefit Assurance PLC are the most traded shares, with a combined total value of more than 560 million naira. And as the market opens this morning on the global scene, Asian shares reversed early losses on Thursday and hovered near two-week highs. Boss Day Abel reports on stock market performance across the globe.
European stocks were flat on Thursday morning ahead of key U.S. labor market data expected to give more information about the state of the U.S. economy. The pan-European stock 600 hovered around the flat line in early trade, with travel and leisure stocks climbing 0.8%, while food and beverages fell 0.4%. Shares in Asia-Pacific were mixed in Thursday trade as investors reacted to the release of Chinese industrial profit data for April. Hang Seng Index dipped 0.27%. Mainland Chinese stocks were higher by the afternoon, with Shanghai Composite rising 0.38%, while Nikkei slipped 0.33%. Stock futures in the United States were slightly lower in overnight trading on Wednesday as investors await new labor market data to gauge the pace of the economy. Futures on the Dow Jones Industrial Average dipped 73 points. S&P 500 futures and Nasdaq 100 futures were both trading in mildly negative territory, while Africa's stocks are yet to post new figures as at the time of this report. Boss Day Able, Business Express.
And with that, we end this edition of Business Express. Remember to keep in touch with us by sending in your comments, observations, and suggestions. Also be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. You can also communicate with us on Twitter. The handle is NTA News Now. Join us again Friday at 3 p.m. for another episode. I'm Leah Katung Babatunde saying be safe out there.